What if the greatest writer in history, the man who invented words like eyeball, bedroom, lonely, all descriptions of me, had to take the PSAT English section? Could William Shakespeare, the bard himself, pass a test designed for 16, 17-year-olds, or would he fail harder than Hamlet's therapy sessions? Let's find out. So the PSAT English section, officially the evidence-based reading and writing module, basically tests two things. 1. Grammar, punctuation, verb, tenses, pronouns, the Oxford comma war zone, and 2. Reading comprehension, analyzing modern passages, and answering questions like, what does paragraph 3 suggest about the protagonist's internalized guilt? In other words, it's about writing beautifully. Well, not exactly that. It's more about writing correctly. And that is where a boy Will might struggle. Shakespeare's English isn't wrong, it's just from a different planet. Kind of. He used sentence structures that would make modern-day Grammarly commit tax fraud. Like, this is a real line from Macbeth. The multituous seas, incarnadine, making the green one red. I butchered that. Try putting that on PSAT grammar question, and every sophomore in America would ascend. Which choice best replaces incarnadine? I messed up again. A. Make red. B. Make colorful. C. Make water. D. No change. You know he'd pick no change because he glazes himself. Shakespeare made up over 1,700 words, including swagger, amazement, and assassination. But the PSAT doesn't reward creativity. It punishes it. Imagine a vocabulary question. Choose the best synonym for ineffable. Shakespeare would answer, methinks ineffable meaneth like vibe too complexeth to saith aloud. And the College Board would go, incorrect. But you would still have to wait 2 weeks for that. Okay, but what about reading comprehension? Surely the man who wrote Romeo and Juliet could understand a passage about two teenagers in love, right? Wrong. Because PSAT passages are modern. They'll give you a scientific article about climate change and frog populations and ask which choice best describes the author's tone. Shakespeare's answer would be something like, foul is fair and fair is frog. 0 points. Here's the big one. Context. Shakespeare wrote for the Elizabethan audience, a crowd that thought puns about death and marriage were peak fiction. So if he sees a question like, the author implies that social media fosters artificial intimacy, he'd be like, what is social media? A mask? A spirit? Dost thou follow me, good sir? And the irony is, Shakespeare would be amazing at writing the PSAT passages themselves. He'd just fail miserably at answering the questions about them. Now, let's score him. In grammar and punctuation, out of 20 points, he gets 3. He just doesn't care. Reading comprehension, again out of 20, he gets 8. He's trying. Bless him. And finally, vocabulary. For 10 possible points, he gets 10. He literally invented some of these words. Give him full credit. So, 21 out of 50. Technically not passing, but the man did redefine English forever, so I think he gets a curve. So no, Shakespeare would not pass the PSAT, but he'd probably write the test proctor into a 5-act tragedy about, I don't know, existential despair and standardized education. Because the truth is, the PSAT tests conformity. Shakespeare tested imagination. And if we're being honest, I'd rather fail with flair than pass without passion. Thank you.